60 Minutes Rewind.
Why did the president help incite the riot that killed 5 people at the Capitol? It may be because 4 days earlier, he failed to get the state of Georgia to take away Joe Biden's victory. A week ago, Saturday, Georgia's top election official, Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, spent an hour on the phone listening to the president lie and threaten. Mr. Trump spun tales of fraud and told Raffensperger he needed to find 11,780 votes, one more vote than Biden's winning margin in the state. Raffensperger is a lifelong Republican, voted for Mr. Trump, and contributed to his campaign. But facing the president's wrath, he would not choose loyalty over duty.
I believe I said, well, Mr. President, the challenge that you have is that you have bad data. Our data shows that you did not win the race because we have the facts and the facts are on our side.
Brad Raffensperger had declined to take the president's call. The Trump campaign was suing Georgia officials, and Raffensperger felt the call was inappropriate, but the White House kept insisting.
Okay, all right. So, Mr. President, everybody is on the line.
It was about 3 p.m, Saturday, January 2nd, when White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows started the conference call introducing Mr. Trump's lawyers, an attorney for the state of Georgia, Ryan Germany, and Secretary of State Raffensperger.
Did you know that the call was being recorded?
No.
So, Mr. President, I'll turn it over to you.
Someone gave the recording to the Washington Post.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, Brad and Ryan and everybody.
From the start, the president seemed delusional.
And we won the House, but we won every single state house, and we won Congress.
Mr. Trump repeated 30 times that he won the election. He said he could still win Georgia if Raffensperger would play along.
So, look, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes.
What was the president asking you to do?
He was asking us to recalibrate or recalculate, I believe it was, somehow get a different answer. But I'm an engineer, and anyone that's good with numbers knows you can calculate all you want, but the numbers are the numbers.
So what are we going to do here, folks? I only need 11,000 votes. Fellas, I need 11,000 votes. Give me a break.
But the words used by the president and the president's chief of staff, give me a break, cooperate, compromise, were they asking you to join them in a conspiracy?
I guess maybe they were just trying to intimidate me and cajole me into something. It wasn't going to happen.
We have learned the call January 2nd was not Mr. Trump's first attempt. Sources tell us that last month, the president himself phoned one of the Georgia Secretary of State's investigators. A person briefed on the call said Mr. Trump told the investigator they would be a national hero if they found evidence of fraud. But no evidence was found that would change the outcome of the election. Still, on the call with the Georgia Secretary of State, Mr. Trump badgered Raffensperger with fantasies of criminality.
The other thing, dead people. So dead people voted. And I think the number is in close to 5,000 people.
The president said in the call that 5,000 Georgians voted in the name of dead people.
Right. Well, it was 2. 2 dead.
2,000?
No, 2. Yeah.
A total of 2.
2 people, right here. 1, 2. 2 dead people. Not thousands, not hundreds. 2 people.
How do you know that?
Because we went back and looked and we searched all the death records and we looked at day, month, year. So we had 2 people that had passed away, and we'll investigate and see if we can find out who those people were that fraudulently voted for those 2 dead people.
That is just one of dozens of investigations launched after the election by the Georgia Secretary of State.
How would you describe the president's claims of vote fraud in Georgia?
Fantastical, unreasonable, lacking in any factual reality.
Gabriel Sterling, also a Republican and a Trump voter, is the chief operating officer for the Secretary of State.
So you can see,
He walked us through surveillance video that the president and his lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, use as their slam dunk evidence.
There's no response, none.
Here, Giuliani is explaining to Georgia state senators his selectively edited version of the video.
And when you look at what you saw on the video, which to me was a smoking gun, powerful smoking gun, well, I don't have to be a genius to figure out what happened. And I don't have to be a genius to figure out that those votes are not legitimate votes.
In national ads, the Trump campaign shows just a clip of the video that reveals cases filled with ballots being removed from under a table.
America deserved an honest election. This is what they got. Suitcases of ballots added in secret in Georgia.
Gabriel Sterling showed us that Rudy Giuliani was right. You don't have to be a genius to figure out what happened when you look at all of the video. Sterling says the election workers were told before 10 o'clock election night that they would be going home and would finish the count the next day.
it's before 10. The observers and the press are still in the room to see all of this occur.
With Republican and Democratic observers visible on the video, the still uncounted ballots were placed in official boxes which were labeled, locked with tamper-proof seals, and stored below the table.
This is where they're packing up because they think they're going home. They're packing up to seal them so that nobody can, mess with the ballots when no one's there.
But less than an hour after the boxes were stored, Sterling says the staff was told they would have to keep counting through the night. So the ballots were pulled out and counted. Sterling told us President Trump's team had always had the entire unedited video.
From my point of view, they intentionally misled the state senators, the people of Georgia, and the people of the United States about this to cause this conspiracy theory to keep going and keep the disinformation going, which has caused this environment that we're seeing today.
Are you saying they lied to the Georgia State Senate?
I'm saying Rudy Giuliani looked them in the eye and lied.
And Rudy Giuliani knows that. He also, I believe, he has some ethical standards as a member of the bar. He knows that what he said was not true. But our state Senate did not ask us to come in there so that we could rebut what they said. And it was actually left as the gospel truth. And it wasn't. It was fabricated.
In the call, President Trump slanders one of the election workers in the video, a woman named Ruby Freeman, who Georgia officials say is not suspected of tampering with anything.
18,000 voters having to do with Ruby Freeman. She's a vote scammer, a professional vote scammer and hustler. Ruby Freeman. That was the tape that's been shown all over the world that makes everybody look bad.
The president claimed Freeman put the so-called ballots hidden in suitcases through the counter 3 times, resulting in 54,000 bogus votes.
And Brad, why did they put the votes in 3 times? They put them in 3 times.
Mr. President, they did not put that. We did an audit of that, and we proved conclusively that they were not scanned 3 times.
Ruby Freeman is in hiding because of threats, death threats that Sterling says other election workers are also receiving.
And I finally saw one that said the young man's name, said, "You are a traitor. May God have mercy on your soul," and had a gif of a noose slowly swinging. At that point, I snapped. I essentially lost it and said, "This has got to stop." Mr. President.
5 weeks ago, Gabriel Sterling addressed this directly to the president.
What you don't have the ability to do, and you need to step up and say this, is stop inspiring people to commit potential acts of violence. Someone's going to get hurt, someone's going to get shot, someone's going to get killed.
Now that we saw the mob attack the Capitol, is that what you meant?
Yes, that's exactly what I meant. And continuing the disinformation and spinning up people's anger while they're emotionally raw, this is exactly what you're going to see.
Even Raffensperger was threatened by the president, who said the Georgia Secretary of State was culpable in the fantasy fraud.
It's more illegal for you than it is for them because you know what they did and you're not reporting it. That's a criminal offense. And you can't let that happen. That's a big risk to you and to Ryan, your lawyer. That's a big risk.
Well, I think it was obviously a veiled threat, or maybe a direct threat, but there was no substance of what he was saying.
So tell me, Brad, what are we going to do? We won the election, and it's not fair to take it away from us like this. And it's going to be very costly in many ways.
When you heard those words, what did you think? Very costly.
I heard the threat. I don't know what that meant exactly, but it wasn't going to move me off center.
But I mean, all of this stuff is very dangerous stuff. When you talk about no criminality, I think it's very dangerous for you to say that.
The President of the United States is saying, Brad, this could be very dangerous for you.
Well, really what it did is, I think it really revealed for us was his character. And it was just a sad moment to really hear that.
The story will continue after this.
The president also suggested that someone tampered with Georgia's voting machines. But Gabriel Sterling, the Secretary of State's chief operating officer, told us the state hand-counted all of the voting machines' paper ballot receipts.
The state of Georgia hand-counted how many ballots?
A little over 5 million.
And when you hand-counted the 5 million, how did that compare to what the electronic machines were saying?
They came back at 0.1053% off in the total number of ballots and 0.0099% off the margin, which is incredibly close.
You would consider that to be virtually identical?
Yes.
I wonder how it feels trying to push back against the President of the United States, who is making all of these claims.
It's like having a shovel in your hand and trying to empty the ocean.
When the president was making his speech on Wednesday and citing that mob in Washington, he complained about weak and pathetic Republicans.
No, it's amazing. The weak Republicans, they're pathetic Republicans.
He was talking about you.
Well, I think he was talking about others. I think actually I showed that I had some courage, I had some gumption, that I actually would do my job. The ones that kowtowed to him, that just bent over and did his bidding and not looking into the facts, I think that's weakness.
Brad Raffensperger told us he didn't see the bloody attack on the Capitol when it was happening because at that moment he was busy sending Congress a 10-page, point-by-point rebuttal of the president's false claims. He learned later that the members of the House and Senate were under attack.
It was surreal. We've never seen anything like that in 150 years, maybe even longer, probably 200 years. It was really an affront to the people that founded this nation. People need to go back and read their history books. You know, we had some great founders. I know they weren't perfect men, but they were great people. They're some of the most learned people we had in our society. And that's the high ideal that we all should kind of elevate ourselves to be noble people of high character and patriotic and love our country.